Wouldn't it be great to have a simple guide to help you understand the essence of asset management? I'm here today with my friend and colleague, Perry Lovelace. I first met Perry about 25 years ago when he was consulting at the plastic film plant where I became maintenance and engineering manager. Perry introduced me to these 7 laws of asset management, and I believe they distill asset management down to its essence. Perry, please tell us about yourself and how you developed the 7 laws. After that, we will dig into those laws.
Well, thank you, Bill. And again, these 25 years have been some of the best of my life, and I'm glad to hear that of your specialized experience, and you've also found these laws, testing them in the real world, so to speak. I didn't invent the laws. The laws actually came to me as a result of working with over 20,000 maintenance and operations professionals in virtually every industry, and commercial and industrial, around the world. And it seems like the same principles always happen. So I've congealed those or condensed those into a very simplified version that I call the 7 laws of assets.
Great. Thank you, Perry. Perry, this first law says the asset rules. Tell us what you mean by that.
Well, no matter what kind of asset we're talking about, Bill, whether it's a vehicle or whether it's a multi-billion-dollar physical plant or industrial facility, it's made up of key components, some of which components are key. And when one of those critical components fails unexpectedly, then the asset will suck to it all resources it needs to get running correctly again, whether that's budget resources, manpower resources, physical resources, or whatever that happens to be. The asset will always control the system.
Yeah, I've observed that many times. When I've been involved in a breakdown or whatever, if it goes for just 30 minutes or so, maybe a couple of people. But as time goes by, more and more people start showing up at the asset.
Whether they're budgeted for or not.
Exactly. All right, the second law is that we need CRTA information. Tell us a little bit about what CRTA stands for and why this is so important to our progress.
Well, the essence of all asset management is communication. And effective communication always is better. And the CRTA stands for consistent, reliable, timely, and accessible. And those 4 principles, those 4 laws, can affect all communication. For instance, consistent. The information that's exchanged between maintenance and operation, or between management and maintenance, or between maintenance and within maintenance organization, we must have consistent communication. The computerized maintenance management system gives us a format on a screen. That is an example of the value of consistent information. We used to just talk about it. Operations would call maintenance and say, "Hey, come fix this." That's inconsistent and it's variable all over the map. So we must have consistent communication, and it means use our CMMS in its value there. The second piece of that law is reliable. The information that I read, I've got to be able to trust. I've got to be able to know that it is speaking the truth and that I can make my decisions based on what I read that people fill in on the fields on the form. So the information and not only consistent, but it's got to be reliable. That's what's, again, the value of our computerized maintenance management system. The third piece of the law is it's got to be timely. The faster we can respond to a need of the plant, then the better off we can fix that. So we cannot hold this information back until the end of shift or the end of whatever, the end of the day. We need to get the information into maintenance as to the nature of the issue as soon as absolutely possible. Even 15 minutes is worth getting. The fourth part of that is accessible. And this is one of the biggest parts, or pains, I guess, about computerized maintenance management systems, and that is people can't find the report. They can't find their work order. They can't find where the schedule is, where their work is on the schedule. And when people can't find information, it's inaccessible. Therefore, it either, from their viewpoint, it doesn't exist, or they will rely on a telephone call, and that telephone call creates the reactivity in the system. So CRTA in that order are very important troubleshooting tips anytime you want to increase the effectiveness of your communication.
Great, Perry. Thank you. Perry, this third law is an important one to me. How do we get the lead time we need for reducing reactivity?
Well, lead time is all the time you have in front of the event. And so what that means really is as early knowledge that we can transfer about an event. That's the key to preventing the event from going back to the first law of assets. And that's the advantage not only of preventive maintenance, and we have parent-child work order systems, or when we have condition monitoring. All of those techniques are giving us lead time. The other lead time comes often from operations command center, and that is when they get an alarm, they need to notify maintenance real soon and not just leave an alarm board operating on the board and silencing.
Great. I know condition monitoring is one of the most powerful tools I've seen for giving us lead time. And there are lots of new condition monitoring techniques out there that we haven't seen in the past.
Well, the technology is mind-boggling. It's wonderful, handheld and on telephones or on tribology. It's all kinds of work.
Yep. Perry, the fourth law, you say availability controls spares. I've always said spares controls availability. Why would you say it the way you say it instead of the way I say it?
Well, that's a good twist, Bill. Depends on what we're talking about. I'm talking about availability of the spare and not the plant equipment availability. And it's actually a subset of the first law, the law of asset rules, and that is in order to get the equipment running again, it is the spares must be available, and wherever they are, there may be a redundant piece of equipment next door you can scavenge a control arm off of or something, or a belt, or it may be special orders. It might be going up to the will call on your card and getting the part that you need, regardless of the budget. And so the closer we move supply chain through planning and scheduling, the closer we can align supply chain, the more available the spares are to do the corrective event.
That's absolutely true. I've had times before where we had to fly a spare part in. We were having a planned shutdown, and the overhead crane over the pull roll section of the machine died right in the middle of the shutdown, and we didn't have the spare control board to make it go again. So we had to fly stuff in, and I had to drive to the airport there in town and go meet that part and bring it directly to the plant. So plenty of times I've seen that kind of thing rule. Perry, the fifth law says people will take the path of least resistance. What exactly is that path?
Well, with the evolution of computerized management and database management, it's been tough on the maintenance field generally. And the path of least resistance is what we want it to be, is use the database and go and find out what the answer to your questions. And this involves training. And very few people go to classes to get much useful technique in using a database. That comes from asking your neighbor, how do you do this? And the neighbor showing you in a 1 minute short period of time. That's how we all learned our our cell phones, our computers, and what have you, at least on the use end of it. And that 1 minute opportunity, or I call it OMO training, is one which is through infused throughout your association and your group. So what we want to do is respect that and get people to look to the information source in the database before they make the phone call.
Right.
And that's the path of least resistance.
Absolutely. I know I've seen many times where people just pick up the phone and start yelling at somebody to try to get what
instead
they
of
want.
filling out a service request.
Instead of filling out the service request. I call those the hey you work orders. So Perry, how do we go about keeping things simple and safe?
Well, when we talk about training, for instance, or learning new things, or writing an instruction, like planners might, if we can keep the instruction simple, it will be safer. And one of the elements is of safety is things are too complicated. There's too many people talking at once. So when we communicate, let's keep things simple so that our safety value is increased.
Great. I like that a lot. Okay, Perry, this seventh law is one I've seen in action quite a bit. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, every organization in the world, I was told this by one of my mentors in college, he said, every organization are created to resist change. And when we talk about the evolution, particularly the rapid evolution we're in financially and technology-wise in today, is that if you learn something and you keep it to yourself, then that organization, if it's successful, particularly, then the organization you work for will tend to provide for you other opportunities for advancement or to change over to different areas of the company. And your ideas die when that happens. And that's a form of autoimmunity to change that organizations have. That's why they're stable.
Right. I know one thing I've observed is that really successful organizations are systems driven, and other organizations that have this autoimmune response you're talking about are people driven. They rely so much on the individual that when an individual leaves the organization, whatever ideas, like you said, whatever ideas that guy had, go away with that person. So if we get some good, strong systems in place, we can minimize the impact of those people departing the area.
Absolutely true, and that's the key to successful, dynamic, and actually changing organizations that can change in the face of economic pressures and market pressures and the price of goods and what have you. Are those organizations which are systems driven, and then the people can make those systems change. That's perfect.
Yep. Thank you. So thank you for watching our video about the laws of the asset. If you have additional questions about asset management or these 7 laws that Perry has talked with us about today, you can contact Perry at perry.lovelace@gmail.com or contact me at beakeater49@gmail.com. Thank you, Perry, for being here today. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's a delight to share our travels together and our learnings together. Good luck.
Thank you.